jurisdiction to investigate those crimes in Darfur. Both the U.S. and China abstained. So when they're put on the spot, you'll see them abstain. What we want to see...
Why? Why is that?
Because I think that they felt that there was enough domestic pressure, as what we saw in South Sudan, that we want to see an end to the South Sudan conflict. On Darfur, there was enough domestic political pressure that it was unmanageable, untenable for them to sit back and allow these crimes to continue without accountability. So once they're put on the spot, we saw enough, the politicians, President Bush, allow that the U.S. abstained to the International Criminal Court. So in that case, what we want is more support. So we need to make sure all the other countries, those that are being visited by President Bashir, are feeling pressure. So Egypt, is it feeling that pressure from the U.S.? It's the second largest recipient of military aid. Have we told it that that's important when they get our aid, that they're also an ally in ensuring international justice? Those are things that we could do, not just with money, but it's also diplomacy.
We could also modify our global war on terror, which has allowed us to develop a strong relationship with the Sudanese intelligence community, which in many ways has moderated our efforts on the Sudan.
But don't we need their help?
Well, I'll tell you, Sudan is supposed to be our eyes and ears on Somalia. And our Somalia policy for the last 3 years was an absolute disaster, a complete and total disaster. And Sudan's intelligence was responsible for that. Then we didn't get any bang for our buck. Absolutely. So, but we need to stop with these inconsistent policies vis-a-vis Africa, and this is throughout the continent. You can't, on the one hand, concern yourself, have half your government concerned with genocide in Darfur, and half of it befriending the government and working on them in a so-called war on terror. That has got to change. In addition, I think we do have to put more pressure on our allies, big and small, to join this effort. This can't be a U.S.-led effort. That's not necessarily going to succeed. U.S. has the resources to provide leadership there, but in terms of the international support and coordination, U.S. has to be a part of a larger effort. They can provide leadership by not my way or the highwaying it, as we've seen fail in the past. They've got to provide leadership by working with our partners and making this a collective effort.
Now, you both are saying that along with resources, there needs to be focus. I don't need to tell you what is on the plate of President Obama with the global financial meltdown, the 2 wars, Afghanistan and Iraq, healthcare, all kinds of domestic issues. Do you really think that it's likely that Darfur will get the focus that it requires?
I'm certain that it will, and President Obama has made a speech when he said that we don't have the luxury to pick and choose what issues we need to confront. Other presidents he had to deal with the Depression or world wars or other domestic and international issues that we can't pick and choose. So I know that the U.S. government has the resources, whether it's financial, whether it's time or personnel, to be able to both improve our economy, ensure that we deal effectively with Iraq and Afghanistan, and bring an end to a genocide in Sudan.
In addition, when you appoint a special envoy, you give him the power and the authority to do his job. I mean, President Obama doesn't have to focus on this every day, but that's what we have the biggest government operation on the planet. We have offices, we have people, we have resources. You appoint the right people and you give them the authority to do the job. And that's what has not been done in the past for political and ideological reasons. But this is what President Obama needs to do, because he does have a myriad of problems, but he doesn't have to attend to these every day. That's why he appoints hopefully good people.
Mark, I want to ask you a little bit about your personal history. Your 4 grandparents were Holocaust survivors.
Yeah.
I guess that's how you got involved and interested in genocide.
Yeah, so my mom's mom was 8 years old, an orphan when the Nazis took over in Austria, and she was able to get refuge in the United Kingdom and Britain when the British government opened its doors to Jews if they were 16 years or younger. So she and her 5-year-old brother were able to make it to London and then later made it to Glasgow, Scotland. And there she grew up, met and married another Holocaust survivor, and had 3 daughters. The middle one's my mom, who was born and raised in Glasgow, Scotland. And my mom, when she was 19, came here to the United States to live the American dream. On my dad's side, his dad was in Auschwitz, one of the concentration camps. And near the end, he tried to get refuge here in the United States, but was denied entry, tried Cuba, was denied entry, and finally made his way to Quito, Ecuador in South America. And there he met another Holocaust survivor. They got married and had one son, my dad, who was born and raised in Ecuador.
And you were also raised in Ecuador?
Yes, so my dad met my mom in the States and moved to Ecuador, and I grew up there for 18 years. And I belonged to the one synagogue in the country, and every service I'd go to, I'd hear the elders remind us of two critical lessons. One, never forget what happened during the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews and 5 million others were systematically targeted for who they were. And two, and is equally as important, never to let it happen again. Doesn't matter if people are from Scotland, from Ecuador, Jewish, American, never allow people to be systematically targeted for who they are.
And that's what you've dedicated your life and organization to do.
Yeah.
But you know that slogan, never again, I mean, it's great, but we did let it happen again. We let Rwanda happen again. And we're letting Darfur happen again. So I don't really feel like that slogan, you know, means anything anymore.
It's been empty thus far. That's certainly true, which is why we created Genocide Intervention Network, to create that domestic political constituency to make sure that when our politicians say it, they have to act on it. They have to mean it. And we've got inspiration. You know, we've been able to abolish slavery. We've been able to put man on the moon. We've been able to elect the first African American as our president. There's no question that we can, with enough Americans mobilizing, getting political, that we're able to make never again mean something.
Spell that out for me. What do you mean by Americans mobilizing? What can the individual do?
Well, there's several things that the individual can do. We've got 3 specific tools that they can do to get engaged. The first one is become educated, because you can't stop a genocide if you don't know what's happening. So log onto our website, learn more about what's happening. Second is to advocate, and that is get political. So we've got 3 tools. The first one is a scorecard, so we grade every member of Congress on how they voted and co-sponsored. It's on darfurscores.org. The second one is a hotline called 1-800-GENOCIDE. Anytime you dial the phone number, all you have to do is enter your 5-digit zip code, and our system will identify your representative, your senators, or the White House. Whatever option you pick, we will give them specific things that they need to do and then connect you for free. So it's like the 911 of stopping genocide. The third one is divestment. We'll show you all the companies that are invested in Sudan. You can see which ones are in your portfolio, and you can divest from them, and those companies will change their behavior. And the last one is to donate. It costs money to stop genocide. So we raise money to support the peacekeepers that are continuously being underfunded and are looking to other projects like in Burma or in Congo, so we can directly protect people. So it's both as individuals and as our government, we all together need to be able to take action to stop this genocide.
Gerald, briefly, what are you asking from your organization, Africa Action, for the individual to do?
Well, just about everything that you mentioned. Africa Action for 56 years is focused on U.S. policy towards Africa. And so the one thing I would add is that we, in addition to getting educated and getting active, getting involved, is let your politicians know that you are engaged in our foreign policy, that our foreign policy is ours as much as domestic policy. It's not going to be ceded to the back rooms of the White House, Department of Defense, et cetera, and that you want answers if politicians are agreeing to policies that are detrimental to poor people around the continent of Africa. You want to be involved. You want to know why. And if they don't understand, and oftentimes our congresspersons don't, then you will educate them with information.
Gerald Lamel of Africa Action and Mark Hannes of Genocide Intervention, I want to thank you both so much for being on our program today. That's our show for today. I'm Mimi Geerges. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay well.